When we think about growth, our minds usually jump to things like career, or learning a new skill, or becoming successful. But what if we're missing the whole point? The philosopher J. Krishnamurti posed a much deeper question, one that kind of challenges the very foundation of how we see ourselves. So let's just start right there. Are you flowering? Am I? It's a really personal question, right? And the answer, or maybe the fact that we don't even know how to answer, is the key to everything we're about to dive into. So when Krishnamurti talks about flowering, what he's getting at is this image of a plant growing in just perfect conditions, no weeds, no rocks, absolutely no limitations. He's talking about a state of deep, inward growth where nothing is blocking us. But let's be honest, for most of us, our minds aren't these wide-open fields. They're a bit more like cracked pots, constrained by all sorts of things we rarely even notice. Okay, so if we aren't flowering, the first logical step is to figure out what's in the way. What are these constraints, these cracks in the pot that force us into a narrow little groove and stop us from growing naturally? Well, Krishnamurti points to a few major roadblocks. First up is the pressure to specialize, to become just one thing, like a doctor or an engineer, which ends up narrowing our entire world. Then you've got this deep conditioning from our culture, our family, our religion, which basically sets our path before we even start walking. And on top of all that, there's our relentless search for security and that constant nagging pressure to succeed, to become somebody important. He uses this really powerful example. He says if you're raised Catholic, or as anything else for that matter, your mind is shaped by that framework from day one. It doesn't really matter what the belief system is, he argues, that the very act of being preconditioned puts a ceiling on your growth. But here's where he makes a really surprising distinction. He says, not all pressure is bad. There's the compulsive pressure from the outside world, the pressure to conform and succeed. But then there's an inner pressure, what he calls the right kind, the one that comes from a deep personal need to understand yourself. That kind of pressure doesn't crush you. It's actually what helps you grow. And that whole search for security, well, it brings us right to the heart of things, to one of the most central parts of life, an area where we desperately want to feel safe, but so often end up feeling the most fragile, our relationships. He asks us to get really honest here. When you depend on another person for your happiness, for your security, is that foundation truly solid? Or does that constant, kind of low-level fear of losing them become its own kind of prison? And this is where Krishnamurti drops a bombshell, really. His radical diagnosis is this. He says we rarely, if ever, relate to the actual person standing in front of us. Instead, we're in a relationship with our idea of them, a mental image that we've built up from every memory, every pleasure, and every hurt. Just let that sink in for a second. I have an image of my wife, she has an image of me, and the relationship exists between these two pictures. Krishnamurti's conclusion? It's devastating. This fragile connection based entirely on the past, this is what we so often call love. So this forces us to go even deeper. I mean, if these mental images are the problem, then we have to look at what's creating them in the first place. We have to start questioning the very process of thought itself. I mean, just look around the world. It's thought that says, I am an American, you are an Arab. I am a Christian, you are a Jew. By its very nature, thought divides things up. It categorizes. It breaks reality into fragments. And this doesn't just happen out there in the world, it happens inside of us too. Okay, let's just walk through this logic because it is the absolute core of his entire argument. Step 1, thought is the response of memory. When I ask you your name, you don't invent it, you remember it. Simple enough, right? Step 2, all of our memories, all of our knowledge, it's all, by definition, in the past. Still with me? Now here's the crucial link, step 3. The past is always incomplete. It's just a snapshot. It's not the living, breathing reality of right now. Which leads us to the inevitable conclusion. If thought is born from the incomplete past, then thought itself must always be broken, partial, fragmentary. It can never, ever see the whole picture. So if we accept that logic, that thought is always a fragment, then we're faced with this enormous question.
Can a broken tool create something that's supposed to be whole? Can this limited, divisive process of thought ever actually be the source of love?
And the answer, according to Krishnamurti, is a clear and simple no. Love is not a product of thought. And this is crucial. He insists this can't just be some clever philosophical idea that you think about. It has to be seen as a fundamental fact, an undeniable reality that you perceive directly, for yourself. So, if thought isn't the answer, then what is? To explore this, Krishnamurti does something really interesting. He shifts our attention away from love for just a moment and asks us to look at something else entirely, the experience of beauty. Go ahead and bring to mind a moment when you were just stopped dead in your tracks by something truly beautiful. A vast mountain range, the impossible colors of a sunset, maybe even just the way the light hit a cloud. In that precise moment of seeing, what's happening in your mind? The constant internal chatter, that stream of thoughts, it just stops, doesn't it? There are no words, no analysis. There is only the seeing. In that moment, the beauty completely absorbs you. The me, the self that's always thinking and commenting and judging, it just vanishes. There isn't you looking at the mountain. There is only the mountain. Beauty is when you are not. And now, he brings it all back together. That state of total presence, of selfless absorption that you feel in the face of beauty, that, he suggests, is the very same quality as love. Love is the total absence of me. And so we're left with this question to really live with. If our normal way of relating to each other, through memory, through images, through thought, is actually the thing getting in the way, what takes its place? What would it even mean to be with someone without the constant chatter of the me? That is the question.